Hello, I'm Christina, Coach, Combat Vet, and Community Change Agent, and today we're going to do my second book review. I don't usually do book reviews, but this one caught me and I really wanted to go ahead and do it. But first, in true ADHD fashion, I have misplaced the stand that the phone goes on, so we're just going to kind of hope it doesn't fall while recording, because it's kind of precariously perched here. And also I managed to break an OtterBox for this phone. So I don't have the pop stand. I don't have anything on it right now because I broke the OtterBox. Yeah. So we are going to discuss Careless People, a cautionary tale of power, greed, and lost idealism by Sarah Wynne Williams. Now, Sarah Wynne Williams was an employee of Facebook. She starts the book explaining how she saw the global implications of Facebook before apparently Facebook actually realized what they were going to need to be involved in. She was working for the UN and she started pitching to Facebook how they needed somebody who dealt with international relations as they grew. This is a book that has actually been caught up in a legal battle for most of the year, as Sarah calls herself a whistleblower and Meta/Facebook refers to her book as a mix of out-of-date and previously reported claims about the company and false accusations about our executives. So let's get into it. So Sarah's claims. Sarah claims that Sheryl Sandberg, author of Lean In, that's where you probably recognize the name, was basically a fraud, outsourcing her work to everyone else so she could get ahead. She would tell women not to take on the caretaking or office housework in the office, the work that doesn't get someone promoted. Then she would dump all of that work from her office onto the women around her. Additionally, according to Sarah, Sheryl Sandberg would buy lingerie for her preferred female staff, and there were many employees that were her exes. Now, Joel Kaplan, Sarah has accused of sexual harassment and having made her very uncomfortable during her time working for Facebook. According to Sarah, he tried to force her to talk about where she was bleeding from after a complicated birth that almost killed her. He got behind her at a Facebook event with music playing and was basically grinding on her. Now, Sarah was married, and at this point in time, she had actually already filed a sexual harassment claim that she had to retract, but we'll get there in a second. So she had reported him to the Facebook lawyers. They had apparently told Joel about her complaint, and Joel had threatened her job if she didn't drop the complaint. So she had withdrawn the complaint, but he continued to harass her. And ultimately, according to Facebook, the reason they let her go was because they did investigate her complaint, and ultimately it was found to be unfounded, and that was why they let her go. They also said apparently that her work wasn't great, stating that she was too hard to work with while she was on maternity leave. And she hadn't hired enough people and expanded her team, even though Joel was the one blocking her new hires. About Mark Zuckerberg, Sarah says that he lied to Congress when questioned about Facebook's China policy. He said that he didn't plan to turn over any American users' data to China, while Sarah states that she saw documents showing that they were already working on plans to store American users' data in China, as a sort of relay station to make the China site faster, which would basically guarantee that China had access to these users' information. She also said that Mark Zuckerberg was a sore loser and that employees had to hype up his ego by letting him win games. She stated that he got excited once he realized how Facebook had led to Trump's win in 2016. Apparently, the greed and power were exciting to Mark. Sarah even thought he was debating running for president himself. Beyond that, there are anecdotes about his awkward personality and how he was very slow to come around to recognizing the need for government engagement and just basically talking to world leaders. Sarah talks about the ways in which Facebook catered to dictators, despots, and brutal regimes, often stifling free speech and choosing not to take down or stop terrorist rhetoric or stories actively inciting riots and genocide, including the deaths of tens of thousands of people in Myanmar. She shares how Mark Zuckerberg is a kingmaker because of Facebook's ability to manipulate the population, including in America. She uses the example of how Facebook used dark ads to target Black Americans during the 2016 election and encouraged them not to vote, while simultaneously pushing low turnout white conservative voters to show up. These so-called dark ads couldn't be seen by anyone else and wouldn't even show up in research studies. Facebook has emotional targeting. This shouldn't surprise anyone. It will basically track what you're doing, your behavior, and they'll show you ads during emotional times, such as when a teenage girl deletes a selfie, usually a sign of feeling, insecure. They will then immediately start showing this young girl makeup and weight loss ads. So this is a huge revenue option for Facebook, as businesses will pay more for more successful marketing campaigns, never mind the moral, social, or health implications. The book is salacious. It tells a lot of dirty laundry about Facebook. Now for my take on it. People don't write books like this out of the blue. Yes, Sarah is clearly frustrated and has an axe to grind. But I don't doubt that at least 90% of what she states happened. Perhaps her quotes are off as she's recalling most of the conversations, several years later. Perhaps some things are a bit off, colored by her resentment or out of order. But I believe that the bulk of what she's saying happened. Facebook has become obsessed with money and power, happy to manipulate anyone as long as they get more users and more money. That's not hard to believe. It becomes the ethos of most large companies. Our government even encourages this type of immoral, inhumane behavior. As for Sarah, she constantly paints herself as the doe-eyed ingenue, just trying to do the right thing. She seems to eventually realize that she has to justify staying for 7 years and paints her health and some sort of employee equity payment out as her reason for staying, while still playing that she was always fighting for what's right. She never acknowledges that proximity to power and her own importance on the world stage likely played a part. I wish she could have been a little bit more honest with us and herself. The personal growth would have been appreciated. Now, this book came out, I think it was like January, don't quote me on that, but it's been out for a while. And this lawsuit has been continuing. So Facebook won a very early victory, hitting Sarah with a gag order. Their claim is that Sarah violated her termination settlement because it has a non-disparagement clause. In other words, she's not supposed to say anything bad about the company. So Facebook has turned around and basically declared that this judge's ruling was basically proof that Sarah lied and that her book shouldn't have even been published. Obviously, this is an exaggeration, and we're seeing this so much today. Not just from him, but from other political entities. It is such an exaggeration of what the court actually said. The court basically just said that, they were going to hit her with a gag order because Facebook would face harm if she was allowed to promote the book before the judge was actually able to rule on the case, just in case he rules in Facebook's favor. Or she. I don't know. I can't remember if the judge is female or male. I don't remember. So this created a blowback of news coverage that led to more book sales. The Streisand effect. Google it. So on April 9th, Sarah testified before a subcommittee about what she saw while working at Facebook. She talked about Facebook undermining national security and American values. I admit I didn't do the deepest dive, but from what I can tell, Facebook is hinging their case against Sarah on the non-disparagement agreement. In court, they are not disputing her claims in the book, just that she isn't allowed to tell anyone. It would make sense. Now, in their defense, it would make sense for Meta and Facebook to stick with that argument, as claiming that she's lying would open Facebook up to discovery. And I'm pretty sure they don't want any documentation related to things she's talked about to get out and be public. That said, it does feel weird that they aren't legally claiming what she's saying is false. So my recommendation? Read this book. Find out how you are being manipulated and what it takes to grow a company to be that large, that fast. It is fascinating and repugnant. Stay informed. Stay focused. Don't let corporations decide how you live. And if you are looking for a new platform after you read this, don't forget about Blue Sky, which has been growing rapidly since Trump's election and Facebook's behavior became a little more public. If you got anything from this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And, if you believe in prayer, pray for me. Hopefully I find my stand. I don't want to buy another one. I really don't want to buy another one. ADHD is so much fun. The ADHD tax is real. But for you, go forth and do great things.